Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter, with this month's Creative Arts Collaboration hashtag event. And this month it is Think Pink Art, because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I want to offer my support to anyone that is going through treatment for cancer right now, women, men, everybody. And I want to encourage you to keep yourselves healthy. Go to your doctor every year. If you're over 40, have a mammogram yearly. If you are any age, ladies, do your monthly self-breast exams to make sure you can detect anything early before it becomes a problem. Today we're going to paint some pink flowers. This was very requested, but I was saving it for the hashtag event. And I actually am going to have a pattern for you, because this is kind of a complicated thing to draw. I've got a pattern for you on my blog. I'll put a link in the video description. Thumbs up if you like free patterns. That way you can kind of get right to the painting and not worry about all those petals. There's a lot of petals in there. The photograph would be a little bit, there's a lot going on in that photograph, so I wanted to simplify it a little bit with a pattern. And you guys said you really enjoyed having the pattern in the Holly video, so I wanted to make sure I gave you that today. And this video is also sponsored by Jerry's Artorama. They're gonna give me 10 pink watches to give away. I'm going to be giving them away on my blog on Saturday, so make sure you go back for that. And I'll also have the pattern and the photograph there for you to check out, along with a finished photo of the painting, so you can have all those reference materials for you. So without further ado, let's go to the table and do some painting. Begin by transferring the design onto your watercolor paper using transfer paper. I'm using 140-pound Arches watercolor paper for my demonstration. Wet the paper using a 2-inch synthetic brush. Now I'm using the Mimic Squirrel synthetic, so it's completely animal friendly. No real animal hair is used, but it is just fantastic for wetting that paper down. Now I'm using a round number 8 Mimic to add some yellow watercolor, and this is the permanent yellow from the Turner watercolor set, and I'm also adding some sap green into the background. My goal at this point is to cover most of the paper so that I won't have any harsh, hard lines when I go to paint my flowers. I'm trying to keep the green off of the flower petals though, because I don't want them to be stained, because if you try to paint pink and purple over green, it's going to get kind of muddy. So I'm using sap green with a little bit of Maya blue, which is a Turner color. It's kind of like a grade teal color, very earthy and pretty, and I'm using that towards the bottom of my painting to give it a little bit of weight and to also give it that kind of autumn green color that these Snapdragons have. I took these photos a couple weeks ago at the Common Ground Fair in Unity, Maine, and they were just so gorgeous. I couldn't believe these flowers were still blooming. Now I'm flicking on some red paint, and it's kind of like a crimson-y colored red, and then I'm also taking a little bit of that turquoise in the red to kind of just give it like a grade purple, and I'm just kind of flicking and filling in the area with some interesting colors. All those splashes of colors are going to kind of look like flowers that are in the background and out of focus, so those main flowers that we're painting can really steal the show. If you find any white spots between your petals and stem, you can go ahead and paint them in with a little bit of light green and yellow, and then go with a paper towel wrapped around your finger and press on any of the flower petals to remove any extra color. There'll still be a little bit of local color and staining there, and that's exactly what you want. That way you're not going to have these awkward hard edges between the flowers and the background, because if you look at flowers, they are a little translucent. I let my paper dry, and now I'm going to begin painting the flowers. I'm using a combination of that crimson-y red and the yellow to make kind of a peachy pink color. And what I'm doing is kind of an interesting technique. I'm just kind of dabbing on a little bit of color, and then I'm using a clean, damp Mimic brush to smooth it around. And the Mimics that I'm using now for the painting are the Kolinsky Mimics. They're not real Kolinsky sable, they're synthetics meant to act like Kolinsky, and that's what I'm doing the painting in here. Now I'm just adding the color and then spreading it with a clean brush. Now if you have two brushes, you may want to use one for the adding and one for the spreading, or you can just rinse it in between. It's not a big deal. Use variations of that yellow and red to give some petals more of a yellow tint, some petals more of a pink tint, and that way you're going to get a beautiful variety between all the petals. Notice how I skip around a little bit, like I'll work on one petal and then I'll go to the other side of the plant and work on another petal. I do that so the colors don't bleed into the petal that's adjacent. That will keep each petal fresh and kind of in its own space. It'll make them stand out against the other petals and give them definition and dimension. So that's why I'm doing that. I typically do that when I'm watercoloring flowers with many petals. And it's kind of like a Zen-like experience painting like this, adding a little paint, spreading it around with your brush. If you get too much paint or you feel like you need a little bit of texture, crumple up a paper towel and just kind of press it in there, and that will give you that kind of crepey texture that the flower petals have. It's wonderful when you can find something so simple that gives you the look you're going for. I'm tending to use a little bit more of the red on its own in the darker shadowy colors, and up until this point we've only used the yellow and the red. Now I want to get into adding some deeper shadows, so I'm taking a little bit of that Maya blue, which is kind of that tealy color, and adding it into the red and making kind of like a subtle purple that's going to give me that shadow. It's not a really dark color, but it's just kind of grayed enough that it gives you a very natural looking shadow. Now I'm taking that same blue that we used to gray down that red and make a shadow, it's called Maya blue, and I'm mixing it in with a sap green, and I am painting the little buds that haven't opened up yet, leaves and stem on the flower. Now, as I mentioned, these are the Turner watercolors. They have a set of 18 at Jerry's Artorama. That's what I'm using. They're 5 milliliter tubes, which are tiny, but with your watercolors, you squirt them out in your palette and then you leave them to dry out, and then you can keep working from them. I've been working from these same paints that I squirted out weeks ago, and they're still semi-moist in my palette and ready to go whenever I am. And that's honestly why I like watercolors most, because I can sit down and paint whenever I want and I don't have to spend a lot of time setting up. Now I'm going in and adjusting my colors a little bit. I really had a fun time painting this and puttering and kind of going in and tweaking and adjusting. To tell you the truth, I spent an hour painting this today, but it was so much fun because I could take my time and have a good time painting it. Now I'm going to skip over to another plant, which is going to have more of a purple tone to it, but I'm doing it the same way. I'm adding some color and then I'm spreading that color around with a damp brush. If you feel like you need to see this, you can always slow down the player to half speed if you feel like it's going a little too fast, and if you feel it's going too slow, then you can always speed it up too, which is kind of the cool thing about YouTube. If you don't know how to do that, look at the bottom of your player screen and there's a little gear, and if you click on that, then you can slow it down or speed it up, whatever your preference. I'm using some of the purple in the Turner set, also some of the red and some of the ultramarine blue, and I'm just getting my colors that way. Now for the leaves, I'm doing the same thing. I'm using sap green, I'm using that Maya blue, and I might even sneak a little bit of yellow in there for the highlights if I feel like I need to freshen up that green a little bit. Sometimes if you mix your colors on your palette, your colors can feel a little flat. So I sometimes just like to add the colors and then kind of drag them together on the paper to keep them lively. Now here, because I'm using some reds, some purples, I'm kind of putting the colors independently and then pulling them together on the paper. So if you can see what I mean about keeping those mixes fresh by mixing on the paper versus on your palette. So I hope you find that technique helpful. I really hope you try it because I think you can really learn a lot following this technique. I hope you don't mind the music and the voiceover on this video. As I said, it took me an hour to paint and I wasn't even thinking of narrating. I just wanted to chill out and do some painting today. I really feel like I needed that little bit of relaxing time. I know you guys probably need it too, so I hope that you still can find some time to relax, even if my fast painting is a little bit crazy. Plus, the kids are home and they're tromping around upstairs, so it can kind of sound like elephants at times. So hopefully the music kind of tones that down a little bit. Now this time when I'm painting the stem, what I'm doing is kind of painting in my medium colors and then dripping in a little bit of yellow for highlights, and then going in with that tealy blue, that Maya blue, for my shadows. And that works really well too. But again, I am kind of putting the colors in separately so that they can mix on the paper, just to keep that really lively look. Now after your painting starts to dry, you can really see how things have lightened up, and you can see where you might need to add shadows and adjustments like there. I'm kind of deepening any place I see a petal turned over, or I see a petal up next to each other and I think it may be casting a shadow. I'm going in and adding a little bit of a darker value there. It's just something that kind of comes with practice, but really letting your painting dry and then looking at it again really helps. And you know what, guys, I always think your paintings look better the next day. So if you're ever done a painting and you're like, geez, I don't know, I don't think I'm happy with it, look at it tomorrow. I'm telling you what, some magic happens overnight and your painting will look fantastic. So never judge it right off the bat. Now I wanted to add some splattering to this because I feel like the background was just a little too stark. You don't have to do this. I like to do it, but it's completely up to you. Just be careful if you're like me and you like to watch TV on your computer while you're working. Just be careful because sometimes you'll end up flicking paint on your computer screen and you'll have to wipe it up. And I'm just going in with some final adjustments here and making sure that the divisions between petals, if I've got a rolled up petal, is nice and sharp. And you know, I'm just puttering. I had so much fun just chilling out and painting. I hope you can just kind of zone out for an hour or so and work on this painting too. And I hope the pattern on my website helps you out. And don't forget, come over to my website on Saturday because I'll have all this information, the pattern, the photo, and your chance to win one of 10 Think Pink art watches from Jerry's Artorama. They are so cute. I wish I was eligible to win because I want one too. They're so cute. They're a $30 value, and I'm so thankful that they gave me those to give to you guys. And just a small token of my appreciation for all that you do for me. I do appreciate you so very much. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Share this video with any of your friends who like to paint with watercolor, and they can come and learn to paint too. And just share the love. Sharing is caring, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, happy crafting.